Hello and welcome to the 113th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
That's me, baby.
Okay? Jordan,
So,
where do you want to find, where can you find this thing?
You can find us Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, the RSS feed, all linked below, as well as on Instagram and TikTok where we post shorts and also a soon-to-be revealed set reveal. Might already be up by the time this is live, so go check it out. I demand it. Anyway, yeah, comments, questions, concerns, and death threats, email them over or send them to Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube comment section. We also have a video platform. We're on Spotify video and
Forgot about that.
YouTube video.
YouTube.
So, yeah, find us there.
Yeah.
Get to see Chris's manliness as he shits his pants.
An alpha male.
Oh, man. I done dropped the fucking Browns off. Remember that teacher in high school? Did you have him?
Which one?
We had this fucking teacher. So, above Mike. Well, I wouldn't even say it was a gym teacher. One of the gym teachers. The fat-ass one. Not the woman.
Oh, I think I know who you're
Begins
talking
with
about.
an A.
Fucking, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about.
So, I think he, subbed this class, regularly for me. I don't know if the teacher, had a stroke or something. But he used to just make the same joke over and over because he'd sit down.
Yeah.
And he'd have to take a shit. And he would go, I'm going to drop the Browns off at the Super Bowl.
He was...
he was all right.
This teacher in question, he was nice, he was friendly, but man, he was dumb as shit.
He was a moron.
He was not an intelligent person.
I'd imagine he's only the gym teacher because he probably fell off the bleachers one day and smashed his head. And they're like, fuck, and now we have to keep him around.
Yeah, oh, well, he's going to sue us if we don't.
Yeah.
You know.
This guy was an idiot.
Yeah, he was kind of a moron.
What is it with gym teachers and just being some of the worst?
Yeah. Well, okay, there's two paths for gym teachers, male gym teachers. Dumb as shit, sleeping with the students.
There's a third path, basketball. That's it. They just love basketball for some reason. And sleeping with the students.
Yeah, there was absolutely, that happens all the fucking time. It's always gym teachers, so it's this... They wait for the students to either graduate or turn 18, and they immediately start fucking them.
Yeah. We did have a teacher at our school who did that.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, very bizarre.
How bizarre. Yeah.
Very bizarre times.
Very, very bizarre times. But yeah, dude, gym teachers are just the bane, dude. The bane. Shut the fuck up. Hit the music.
Why'd you not turn off the sound afterwards, you fucking jamoke?
I was actually talking about
that
everyone's
doesn't answer
favorite.
my question.
I was actually talking to Lexi about everyone's favorite teacher. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And some of the encounters that I had with this fucking neo-Nazi bitch, the whole oxygen thing, and it reminded me of the encounter where I was like,
neo-Nazi's a relative term in terms of control and authoritarianism, not so much that she was a Nazi.
Yeah, I just call her that. But no, I had when I first got in that class, so for context, just real quick, it was an honors class. We took a test the year before to get accepted. And Lexi had failed it by 1 point, and I had passed. I think I passed by 1 point above the minimum score or whatever. It was 18 or something out of 20. Well, I might have just got it on the line. Anyway, so at the time, she was like, all right, I can't take this class, whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to take it then. No big deal. Then our schedules got fucked up, and we both got put in it. So she told this teacher, hey, I failed the class. And the teacher gave her a lecture saying, well, if you failed the test, that means you're inferior and you shouldn't be here. It was what the teacher told her pretty much. Now me, having, at the time, a very big inferiority complex with anyone around me,
should have walked up and fought her.
I went to drop out of the class, and then I found out Lexi stayed. And I was like, well, fuck, now I have to stay. I can't have her be better than me. God forbid,
That's
right?
Fair.
So I stayed in the class. So at the time, before I had known Lexi stayed, I said to the teacher, I was like, hey, how do I drop your class? Dude, I got an earful. If you're already thinking about leaving my class, then you don't deserve to be here. And I was just like, you didn't answer my question.
That doesn't answer
And I had said that to her. I was like, okay, but that didn't really answer my question. And she got so fucking mad at me. So I set off on the wrong foot day one. Then I stuck around, and I think she liked me by the end, at least a little bit. Did our coworker, not Alex, the other one, who's in engineering, did he ever tell you his encounter with her about lunchtime?
I don't
in my class?
think so.
I had an elective with this teacher the following year, and our friend was in there.
Oh wait, no, maybe I do. Maybe I do remember this.
And she was in terms of like authoritarian, like Chris said, she was very much like I dismiss you, the bell doesn't. And like, what's the point of the bell then?
Yeah.
You know, like if I ring a bell and I say, Chris, it's time for you to eat, doesn't that mean when you hear the bell, you go eat? Right.
Yeah.
So one day, we're in this class, she's talking, the bell rings, and we all know how she is, so we all just stay silent. And like literally 5 minutes elapses, and we're like, shut the fuck up.
What fucking gives?
So our buddy goes, excuse me, the bell rang 5 minutes ago. And she goes, I heard it. I'm not an idiot. I dismiss you. The bell doesn't. So she made us sit there for another 5 minutes.
Man, I wish I didn't give a fuck in high school.
Dude, looking back, if I hadn't given a fuck, like if I had known that I could have exactly where I am now, I would have hit her. I would have done it.
Because the way it went was because, unlike Jordan, I pieced the fuck out. I was grandfathered in. I didn't even have to test in. I was grandfathered in. I tested into honors freshman year.
Yeah, and I had never been in honors.
But I pieced the fuck out. I'm like, I'm just going down to regular English class.
Chris was like, fuck this.
Yeah, and then the whole thing transpired. She was just like a real bitch about it. But like, man, if I didn't care, like, cause the way it went was. It was they being her and the school kind of make you feel like dirt for not keeping an honors class.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you even show an inkling of like, I don't want to be here, it's like, well, I guess you're not good enough.
And if you're in that situation, don't fucking listen to them.
Full send it.
It doesn't matter. Guess what? I still got into college. Mm-hmm. Okay. And
First choice college.
I'm still making money.
Yeah.
I still got into a respected private university.
Yeah.
And I'm still making money.
Yeah.
So don't let them tell you that.
And he has a fucking podcast.
They're
now.
full of shit.
Yeah,
she doesn't have a podcast. I hope she doesn't.
Dude, if she does, it's probably literally about 110 ways men suck.
If she does, I'm gonna turn into a demon. I'm gonna be her biggest.
We'll do a collab episode.
Oh, dude, awesome. It would be over.
Fucking on-air interview, dude. Live. Anyway.
In conclusion, she was the worst, and she makes you feel like dirt for not being in honors, despite the fact when she was berating me over this, she was like, well, the dean told me that we need to wean out people who aren't supposed to be in honors. And I said, I don't want to be here then.
So then I'm not supposed to be here.
So then I'm not going to be here. So I'm doing your job for you.
It's the opposite of the lecture she gave me where I was like, hey, how do I drop out of your class? She's like, well, clearly you're not eligible to be here. You don't have the initiative. So like she should have heard you say that. I'm like, oh, okay, this person doesn't have the initiative. Bye.
It's like, I don't want to be here.
Like, no, I'm telling you.
So like, I'm making the decision so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be like, oh, this person's doing all right, but like, they're kind of the bottom percentile.
Yeah.
Get them out. It's ridiculous. It's foolish. Yeah. And if on the 1,000,000,000 to 1 she ever hears this, fuck you.
Yeah.
I was gonna make an extremely violent threat. I'm not going to.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. But yeah, fuck you for real. And I like to think that if
I read the news and you got hit by a bus, I would laugh.
I like to think that if she did hear this, she would immediately know who she is.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be fantastic. It'd be great.
There's no other teacher who behaved that way.
No. And it was always good, though, because then we had the counterbalance of our physics teacher who was just like...
If we ever get really big, that's what I want to do. I want to have him on the show for an episode.
100%. Even if it's literally just a physics fucking lesson, let's go.
1,000%. I want to just like have him here. He'll sit in the middle, and it'll be like when Santa Claus shows up to the mall. We'll just be like this, and he'll tell us like crazy shit that he's done.
Our mics will just be off,
and we'll just like have a few beers, and it'll be a good time. So, yeah. I would be totally down with that if we get really big.
Yeah. But Chris, something happened in gaming recently.
Yeah.
Something
happened in gaming. That's extremely broad. Okay.
Something happened.
Go ahead.
A thing. A release, or rather an announcement with a release date for some hardware.
Oh, is it the thing I was just about to bring up?
Yeah. See, we have this synchronicity now where like for the last couple episodes I've been doing like all the transitions, so I knew where you were going, so I fucking rolled with it, baby. Got the synchronicity. We're 112 hours into this shit. And like 20 minutes.
Something like that.
Give or take. give or take. So, Chris, do the honors. This is like a throwback, by the way, like our first few episodes. This is like what we talked about.
So, we're gamists, right?
Gameologists.
We're men of games. Okay?
Emphasis on the game.
And this is 4 or 5 days ago now. As of recording this, it's going to be like a week plus 4 or 5 days for you.
Yeah.
NVIDIA, graphics card manufacturer, announces next generation RTX 4080 and 4090.
Yes.
The 4090 slated to release on October 12th.
Yep.
So I'm looking at an article. You can see it plain as day. Just because I want to know all the numbers here. Because Alex complained about this, even though it's only a slight increase from the last ones. RTX 4090 is $1,599, $1,600.
Yeah.
The 3090 was $1,499.
Yeah.
The 4080 is $899.
Yeah.
Will be available in November, and the 3080 was $799, I believe,
Yeah.
MSRP. So it will be out in November. You won't get one till 2024.
Yeah. So the problem with the price increase is the leap from 2070 to 3070 and 2080 to 3080 is fucking exponential, and then the leap for these cards is very minimal.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It wasn't the 20 to 30 series wasn't like as monumental as they made it out to be, but it was like comparatively a really big increase, because normally the increase between generations is like
It's marginal.
It's like 10%.
Yeah.
At most. Like the difference between my 980 and my 1080 was like almost none.
Yeah. My 1060 to my 2070, pretty decent, but not incredible.
The difference between my 1080 and 2080 is a bit more, but like, you know, it's not impressive. 2080 to 3080 was like a 25% increase.
It's pretty, it's definitely a lot more than usual.
Which, like I said, comparatively, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's the metric I'm going off of. Now, I don't plan on upgrading my computer anytime soon. But, you know, by the time I do, like, more shit will be out.
Yeah.
So I don't plan on buying one of these things.
I'm also probably gonna go the Radeon route when I upgrade, because the Radeon 6800 XT on certain games, like I think it was Deathloop, does 4K maxed out settings at like 70 FPS. Like that's it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start delving more into the
AMD side of shit.
That, and more so just because of like the creative aspect, where you can get you get the similar performance, but you just get more VRAM as well.
My
like
biggest thing is
the 6900 XT. It has like, instead of, what does this 3080 have? 12 gigs? 11
12
gigs?
or 16, I think.
So I think it's 12. I
know the 4080 has 12, so it's probably
6900 XT has 16, and I think the 6950 has 16 as well. But if you wanted 16, I think you have to step it to a 3090.
Yeah.
Which is like double
exponential
the price.
in price, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, it's the processor side more than anything, and I like the idea of having a Ryzen processor with a Radeon graphics, but like the Intel side of shit blows. So
yeah, I was looking at the specs for the newer.
It's dick.
The new AMD processors, because I have a 3900X.
I thought you were gonna say the new i9. That shit's dick.
No, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Is the i9, is it still 8 cores?
Yeah.
Not worth my time.
I believe so. The i9 10.9 or whatever.
12 cores, 24 threads, 3900X. I got it fucking 2 years ago. So almost 3 years ago. So it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. I was looking at the 5900X. Like, man.
Is that the 16 core or the 22 core?
I think it's still 12 core.
Oh, it is 12?
So I was like, this also isn't
good.
really worth my time.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I missing out on? Because they skipped the 4000s, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So of one generation, what am I missing out on? Not much.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit faster. I couldn't tell you what my processor speed is, but I remember it being kind of on the low end.
Yeah. My i9, I mean, I don't know. It's just not fucking great. I mean, my biggest bottleneck right now is my GPU. 2070 Super is a weak-ass card. Like, it really is for modern games. Like, 1440 60 is barely what it can get. Like, it just fucking squeaks by.
Yeah. I am always consistently disappointed with the performance of like very expensive graphics cards.
Yeah. I don't even know why I have a 144 hertz monitor.
Because I bought the 2080 and I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, I'm going to go from a 1080 all the way to the 2080. I got ray tracing.
Is it a TI or did Alex get the TI?
No. Someone else got the TI. Got the TI.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
So, but if you calculate it all up, performance-wise, the 2080 Super versus the 2080 Ti is only like a very marginal increase in performance.
Oh yeah, because yours is Super as well. That's what it was.
So I have the 2080 Super. I'm like, oh shit, dude, it's Super. I got ray tracing, all this shit. Bought it just at the right time, mind you. I bought it April of 2020. April of 2020, because that was when the first stimulus came out, and I got my tax returns.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, I just got like $3,000, so fucking might as well. So I got it done, and I was so disappointed with how it performed. Like, man, this is sucks.
This is sucks, yep.
The only way you're gonna notice a performance increase, like the only way you're not gonna be disappointed, is if you're jumping from like a 1060 to like a 3080 or something.
Oh yeah, that would be exponential.
Because what I remember being really impressed by was my 980. I was jumping from a 760 to a 980. So that was the thing.
Well, I believe I went from a 750 Ti to a 1060, and I was like, holy shit. But at the time, I didn't know shit about PCs, so I picked out this graphics card because it was small. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is great. It was a 3 gigabyte VRAM, 1060.
Oh, it was a 3 gig? Ugh.
So when I went from the 1060 to the 2070, that was very noticeable. But now, in modern day, the 2070 just doesn't hold up. Like, it just doesn't, as well as I would have expected for a card that's 3 years old since I got it.
It is crazy, though. Because PC really started taking off between the release of PS4, PS5, between the two console generations. And then the PS5 and the Series X came out with just the Mike Tyson uppercut and just fucking demolished any real need to, like, purchase a PC if you're a casual gamer.
Yeah. I literally had this argument at work with my new coworker. The elderly coworker was there. Yeah. He was mediating, and he was like trying to tell us to calm down.
Fair.
Because we were arguing about how my 2070 Super is dick compared to my PS5, and he has the same card, so he was getting riled up about it.
No, it is objectively.
And I was explaining how it was dick and ass. I was pulling out numbers. And he's like, oh, of course you came prepared with the numbers. And I was like, no, I just do them because we talked about them in the podcast.
Yeah.
And based at its fucking easiest form to compare, because my argument was, I said, like, let me use Spider-Man as an example. I told him how I can run it at like 4K 60 on the PS5, and my computer can't even do 1440 60 on the highest settings. And he was like, that's an unfair comparison because it was optimized for PlayStation. I said, there you go. There's the answer. The optimization is the biggest differentiator. So then I broke it down to the base numbers, where the fucking 2070 is, I think, 9 teraflops, and the PS5 is 10.28. So I was like, there you go. And he's like, oh, that number doesn't mean shit. I'm like, that's the only fair way to measure it then. If you're going to bring optimization into it, because I could run a game on the Steam Deck that runs better than it does on PS4, even though they're roughly the same in hardware, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the way the consoles came out fucking swinging.
Dude.
So honestly, I'll say this. If you're just looking to play video games.
Get a console.
And your friends aren't already on PC, why bother?
It's cheaper anyway. Because that was the other part of the argument. He was like, well, the PS5 is $500, and I can get a 2070 for $500. I said, yeah, what about motherboard? But you gotta get the rest
of the computer around.
Well, I said, what about motherboard, power supply? The PS5 comes with a controller. Now you need a keyboard, a mouse. Okay, now you need RAM. Now you need a processor.
And if you don't have one, you need a monitor.
Yeah. Like, if you want to hook it up to a TV, sure, fantastic.
You need to put it into perspective this way. I paid about $3,000 for my computer. About $3,000.
Mine was $1,600.
So that's 12 cores, 24 threads, 64 gigs of RAM, 2080 Super, right? Top of the line shit.
Mm-hmm.
And comparatively, running games side by side, it just can't keep pace with a fucking PlayStation 5. It just can't do it.
And this argument, by the way,
which costs a sixth of the price.
This argument, funnily enough, all started because PSVR 2 got announced, and they showed the specs, and I had said, like, wow, this makes the Quest look like shit, in terms of features.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, PSVR 2 is not a what am I thinking of? A standalone. Standalone headset. I want to say a handheld for some reason. Thinking of the Steam Deck. It's not a standalone system, but it's 4K HDR. It has eye tracking. It has haptic motors in the fucking headset.
Eye tracking is fucking huge.
It has foveated rendering that I've talked about on this podcast 1,000 times using the eye tracking. It has haptic motors in the headset.
That's when it
for vibration,
renders based on
where you're looking.
Yeah, so like your periphery doesn't have to be high res.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
And it has it has the cameras, so it doesn't have sensors anymore, so it's on par with Quest. It has Knuckles controllers like the Index. The controllers look way better and have way more features. They have the adaptive triggers and everything of the PS5 controller. And he got so mad. He's like, well, can I play it without wires? And that's where this all started from.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How much is it?
I don't know yet. I think it's probably going to be about $400 or $500.
Because if I was to say Facebook, Meta can make a Quest Pro or like a Quest something that is maybe instead of what's the Quest 2? $300?
It was $300, but they moved it up to $400.
$400. So instead of that, they made it like $600, and then they added like all that shit.
Yeah,
they can definitely do it.
Here's the problem: they've already said they can't. So Zuck did when Cambria.
Oh, fuck me, I guess.
So when Cambria, where you going, bitch?
I'm leaving. What's wrong?
When Cambria got announced, which Cambria comes out I think in November, that's a $1,500 headset. When that got announced, it has all of those features. And Zuckerberg straight up said, these are features that we cannot put into the Quest at any reasonable price point at this time. And that's the eye tracking. That has a little more, though. That has lip tracking and shit, too.
I have to keep in mind that the Quest has the entire device attached to it as well.
That's the biggest difference between... Because that's the other argument he had, was he was saying, like, well, why is the PlayStation 1 more expensive than the Quest? I was like, well, because those features, because it's just a display at the end of the day, versus Quest is an entire device, you know?
It does have the thing built in.
And I tried to make the analogy, he wasn't listening, I tried to make the analogy of how the Steam Deck may be $300 or $400 for the lowest model, but the next competitor to that is like the Aya Neo for $1,200. But it's just because Valve can take it on the chin, you know?
Yeah, it's... I explained this too, bringing it back to Apple. I'm an Apple simp now, of course. You know, I'm a.
You're gonna come in with a goddamn Apple Watch, and I'm gonna lose my cool.
I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna have this on my wrist. I'm an Apple simp now. That's it. I'm licking Tim Apple's boots.
Licking his balls, more like it. It's dipping them in your fucking mouth.
The same reaction everyone had to the $5,000 like Pro XDR display or whatever the fuck their monitor's called. But when you take the specs of this monitor into account,
and you don't focus on the fact that the stand is a meme,
that was so they could get in the news.
Yeah.
But if you don't focus on it being $5,000 for a monitor, you need to focus on
what is it for. Comparatively,
the monitors that are doing the same thing that this monitor is doing are like $30,000. Yeah. They are like a really, really high-end, like movie studio monitors. Yeah. It's the same shit. It's like, you know, the comparatively, the Steam Deck to the whatever the hell you said is a much better, like, you know, it is a similar product at a much lower price point, and that's why it's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest thing between like the Steam Deck and the Aya Neo is the fact that it's Valve, the people who make Steam, that are making it. So it's obviously going to get the best support from them, versus the Aya Neo is just a Windows handheld gaming device. And it is technically pound for pound more powerful than the Steam Deck, but I can almost guarantee it's not going to run as well. It's running Windows, not Linux with SteamOS on top of it, you know? It's a heavier weight OS. It's not going to be as good as the Steam Deck. Just same thing with the Rift. The Rift on PC is like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool. But then for some reason the Quest like has better games and more support and all these different features, and it's because it's a much more enclosed ecosystem, and they're much more on top of it, which is how the Steam Deck is. So, you know, and that's impressive too, considering they also have that whole like, well, it's your Steam Deck thing. And it's true. Like, they are on top of it, but they don't limit what you can do. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
No, they definitely don't make it difficult to do things either.
No.
It's like, just fucking, do whatever, man. And
if you break it, just fucking plug in a USB flash drive, USB-C flash drive with the Steam OS on it.
Call it a day. The thing with a lot of devices that are, mobile devices like phones or otherwise, they have specific checks in place that are like, oh, this person's trying to get root access to the device they own.
Block it.
Shut that shit down. To the point where you need to like specifically go out of your way to install like essentially kind of malicious software to break the root of your phone, to get into the root of your phone.
Yeah, that you paid for.
Or to get root access rather. Which is foolish because I paid money for this. This is my device. I am root. You can't tell me who fucking root is. That's me. That's me. My computer doesn't tell me who admin is because admin's me.
Because you own it.
This is my computer.
Yeah.
It's my deck. The deck's not telling me who root is. I'm root because it's mine.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Actually, speaking of you being an Apple shill now, and also the you had mentioned fucking root access. It just made me think. Did you talk to my coworker about his new iPhone at all? Did he post anything in Discord?
No, he didn't.
Dude, he texted me on a fucking heater last night. He gets this new iPhone 13 Pro Max, dude. He's like, this thing's amazing.
I just remember the issues he had obtaining one.
Yeah, so he had issues obtaining it. He finally gets over that. He gets the device. He gets it yesterday. I'm off work or whatever. He's like, he texts me. He's fucking heated, dude. He plugged in the cable to switch one phone to the other and bricked the new phone. The software bricked it.
I think I remember him. No, because he still had his old one yesterday.
Yeah, he bricked the phone, and then he did something to fix it. I think he said he had to actually plug it to his desktop to do like an iCloud update manually, but it bricked the new phone, and he was so mad.
That's fucking wild.
I was surprised to see. I've said this from the beginning of time: is Apple's software issues never seem to make it into the news. Like, Google makes one software mistake, and it's like, the new Android causes parasitic battery draw, blah, blah. But, like, Apple's had many softwares where it's like, hey, we published everyone's details for, like, 5 hours, my bad. Never makes it into the news. So, like, everyone's always like, iOS is fucking rock solid. But it's funny when you research it, and, like, iOS is actually dick half the time.
Well, you put it this way. I think that the reason people don't notice this is because, like PlayStation software, it's optimized beyond the PlayStation. All this software is optimized, so tailored to be on this one device, this one iPhone.
Yeah.
That it's so remarkably stable most of the time that people don't notice when there's flaws. And the flaws are usually back-end flaws.
Yeah, it's not like user-facing. Yeah.
Whereas, like, Android is like, fuck, man, there's, you got this hardware that's like, it was made in China. There was like 4 of these processors ever made. We're trying to figure it out, but don't count on anything working properly.
Well, it's what happened with the Pixel. They were like, yeah, we fucked up our battery algorithm, so, like, we promised 6 hour battery life, but it's more like 40 minutes.
It's like, we got, like, I could do maybe 30, maybe 40 seconds of battery life, full charge.
Me, when I try to run Cyberpunk on the Steam Deck.
Now you gotta just plug that bitch in.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck has a fucking remarkable battery for what it is, though.
Dude, when people were complaining about it up until launch, I was like, you realize what is in this little fucking design? And I say little, it's huge, but it's for what it is, again, comparatively to a Nintendo Switch, it's like 1.5 times a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's only slightly bigger than a Switch, and it's partially because the screen is bigger.
Yeah, than the base Switch. Now, the Switch OLED, on the other hand, is a little bit impressive because it's the same exact screen.
But. And it's slightly higher resolution.
Slightly,
it's 1280 by 800 instead of 720.
Dude, oh my god, speaking of 1280 by 800, I fucking got tripped out trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with State of Decay because I kept getting black bars. And I had it at 1280 by 720.
State of Decay 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game fucking sucks with, like, resolutions.
Yeah, I like, couldn't figure it out. And then I was going through the resolution. Actually, so State of Decay 1 was one of them, but the one that I figured it out on was Hellblade. I'm like, There's no 1280 by 800. Like, it doesn't exist. Finally, I realized that 1280 by 800 is 16 by 10, not 16 by 9.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. So you have to switch your aspect ratio to 1610 to get the resolution on games that have manual aspect ratios.
The thing with State of Decay 1 is it's like, oh, okay, you're running this, okay, what is it? 2560, okay, 1440. Best I can do is 1080. Best I can do. And I'm not even going to launch in 1080. I'm going to launch in 800 by 600.
Dude, it does. I don't know why. The first launch, it's always 800 by 600.
800 by 600, forced full screen.
Yeah. Literally,
and why does this look like my fucking balls? Why does this look terrible?
This looks like I took the general color scheme of State of Decay, stuck my nuts in paint that color, and whipped them against the wall.
If I had an idea of what this game was, but I only played it once in 2012 when it released on the Xbox, and then I tried to create it from scratch, this is what I would make.
Yeah.
And I only had 25 minutes to make a game.
And 3 color options.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I ended up getting that game to work, but what's so funny about State of Decay 1 is it's so badly optimized that I would get better battery life in God of War than State of Decay 1.
Bruh.
Because it would just max out the system. Like, it was just like, it would max. I'm curious how State of Decay 2 will be. I'm going to be starting that soon. So, But I'm curious how that'll be. Oh, dude, you know what else? I gotta go off on a bender here. So,
can I go get a diet?
Shut the fuck up!
Can I go get a diet peepus first?
Sure, get a diet peepus.
A diet penis? I mean diet penis. I mean diet penis.
Shit, bro. You have me a penis. WD-40.
WD-40.
Dude, get some white lithium. Pop the fucking pins out and just.
I have lithium grease. I can just use.
I just do that, yeah. So, Chris, I've said this since the day I was born, and I will say it forever.
You've said it since you were born?
Yeah. Steam Deck verified games.
Okay.
Suck. They suck. I don't understand what sort of verification process they're going through, but it sucks. Because I talked about this a couple episodes back where I was playing the Batman games, and of the 3 games in that quadrilogy, what would that be? What would be 4 games in a series?
I think quadrilogy makes sense.
Of the quadrilogy, only the one that was verified to run had issues. And now, Control, right? And this is also partially due to the way their Steam Deck verified thing is. They don't check for DRMs. So what's annoying is when you have a handheld device that's meant to be portable, as in I should be able to be fucking airdropped into the desert and play this until it's dead, but it has an online DRM checker, the game won't work. And I noticed this with Control.
Well, I mean, that's not a Steam Deck limitation.
No, but why is it Steam Deck verified? Why have they overlooked this
Because if you're connected to the internet, you can play it fine.
I'm behind everyone on Reddit who agrees they should do like a what is it? They have unsupported, playable, and then verified. They need to have another tier. That's like verified plus or verified mobile is what they should do. Because
no, I agree with you that it's stupid.
But
I'm just saying that technically, if you're connected to the internet, it works perfectly fine. No.
Yes, but so this is where I have issue with it. Right? Is there Steam Deck verified is so specific that if it's unsupported, it'll actually tell you why, or not unsupported. I'm sorry. If it's a playable, it'll tell you why. Like literally, if you go to Red Dead, it'll say will open Rockstar Game Launcher and require manual input. They tell you why.
Yeah.
So under verified, it literally says game runs and performs smoothly on deck, all inputs correct, blah, blah, blah. But it never says anything like, hey, online DRM or anything. So every Rockstar game, unplayable. Now there are workarounds. The easiest workaround is you just boot up the deck, go on Wi-Fi, start the game once, close the game, and then go in standby mode instead of powering down. Because it'll only DRM chats once per boot up. So that's one workaround. But my point with Control is I don't know if it actually has a DRM, but it was doing this weird thing where every time I was at work, I would boot up and it would just go to a black screen and sit there. And then I'd have to go on my mobile hotspot, turn on Wi-Fi, connect, and then it would boot up. It's fucking weird, but it was so frustrating.
I generally use Deck Verified as a guide for games that I'm playing on my desktop.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh, this is Deck Verified, I just use that as a guide for like do I have to do some wizardry with Proton or not?
Oh, true. That's actually, I forgot you're using Linux.
I'm more so worried about how it performs and if it can work on Linux rather than, like, I don't care about the controller inputs because if I'm playing it on my desktop. If I'm playing it on the deck, obviously I do.
Chris straight up goes, I bought the deck just to use it as, like, a guide. Just buys the deck.
You can
go to the website.
Actually, what I do is I have it on my desk right now, and I have it screen up, and I put my drinks on it. It's a coaster.
Fucking coaster, Jesus Christ. But yeah, they really need to update deck verified to either be more accurate or also account for these specific oddities like DRMs.
What if it was like deck verified online only or something?
Yeah, like as far as I'm concerned, they could have verified and then verified mobile. That's it. Like just throw it, or even like the guy said, verified plus.
The wording can be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. Or verified on the go. Yeah, maybe something like that. But also, I don't know. Because in fairness, like if you do the whole DRM thing, that isn't a Steam issue. It's not a Valve issue. It's not a Steam Deck issue. It's a fucking company issue. It's the companies who make the games. All the Ubisoft games, they're all online DRM.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just fucking stupid. For a portable console to have a game that's quote-unquote verified, then you go to use it in its niche, which is, hey, I don't have internet and I have just this device to use. And it's like, sorry, might be, man.
Yeah.
And I know it's not necessarily Steam's fault, but also in an age where they're trying to be super transparent, that's one big miss on their part.
Yeah, I could see it being, like, overlooked. The reason I think maybe Deck Verified has issues, like you said with Batman, I can't imagine it's easy to be a Valve employee who has to verify like the 567,964th furry porn game for Steam Deck. Has to just play like, I've played Mr. Newell, all due respect, if I play one more of these games, I'm gonna kill myself. I need either a break or I need to put on a different assignment. Like, I can't do this. Yeah. There are so many fucking porn games on Steam. Holy shit. If you don't have the filter on, which I think it's on by default, but if you don't have the filter on, and I don't, because I like to see whatever fuck shit shows up, the new and trending tab...
It's horrible.
It'll show you, like, a list of 10 games per page, and, like, 7 of them will be, like, a porn game. Or, like, porn-adjacent game.
Sexual adjacent,
It's so fucking ridiculous.
It is fucking
so
crazy.
Ridiculous. The, if I remember right, they made it harder to put games on Steam a few years ago. 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now, like before, it was, you paid, it wasn't even paying money to Valve. It was you put in $100 and it would be sent to a charity. It was a $100 charity donation and you were a Valve developer, technically, or like a Steam developer, and you could put games on Steam.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot harder to do that now.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a set process in place where just anyone can do it. So I'm surprised the amount of bullshit hasn't gone down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely frustrating. But for me, like, so Steam Deck verified, right? So like, I would be mad, but also understanding if like a verified game worked all the way up until like 40 hours in, and then there was like a noticeable shift or a noticeable issue. But like all the verified issues I've had are on fucking boot up. So it's like, did someone even boot this game up? Are they using one specific Steam Deck? Is it multiple systems? Is it like what is it that they're doing?
They have one Steam Deck in the office they run all the games through.
Like, I don't know. It's just weird. And it hasn't been that bad. Like, I haven't been too upset because, number one, I just usually do a quick search of like, why is this doing this? And there's always someone who's like, oh, you just gotta fucking hit force compatibility with Proton Experimental. All right, cool. And then it works.
Yeah, most of the time that's your solution is to just use a different version of Proton.
Yeah, and luckily the Steam Deck goes, I think, all the way back from like fucking Proton 4.1. I think it goes 4.1 up to 7.0. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think you can go back and manually install all of them. Like, if you, for some reason you want like the first version they committed to GitHub, for whatever reason, whatever compels you to want that, you can do that.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it.
No.
But like, yeah, most of the time if I'm having an issue with a game, I'll look at ProtonDB, and and people will be like, oh, I used this version of Proton GE, or like I used Proton Experimental, or I used instead of 7.2 or whatever the current version is, 7.0, whatever, I used 638 and it works now.
Yeah.
So
that's literally what it's been. It's like for the Batman game, it was like it was Batman Arkham City Steam Deck launch issues, and it was literally a Steam community post where someone said, same issue as me. Oh, it boots up and it just shows Batman standing there, and it doesn't do anything.
Just post it up.
He just posted up. It's just him standing like this and doesn't do anything. And one guy was like, yeah, just go to experimental, hit check, and you're good. And I did it, booted right up.
Fair.
But that's why I'm not too upset about it. But also for like the average user, like I know this isn't quite MetaQuest level where it's like there's moms that buy this shit and use it.
No, it's
definitely much more niche.
It's a certain type of person who buys one of these.
Yeah, it's definitely much more niche as of now until they hit their metrics, which they said probably by the end of the year, and they'll start putting them on store shelves. At that point, it might get a little more mom attention sort of thing. That's when I think that'll be like a slight problem.
I know for a fact, okay, let me give you some lore here, okay? In what year? 2012, 2011, the first initial developer kit for the Oculus Rift came out, and you could buy them just like online. I think you had to like put in a specific form and you would get an order link or whatever, and they were like $300. And I would see like YouTubers who had them, and it's like, I fucking wanted one so bad. What the fuck would I do with the thing? I don't know, because I had the MacBook Pro. It's not gonna run anything. Okay. Now, I know for a fact there's an 11 or 12-year-old out there, a little guy, who sees like a Linus Tech Tips with a Steam Deck, is like, holy shit, I fucking want one of these things so bad. But it's like
never use Steam.
They've never used Steam. They don't know shit about fuck when it comes to like hardware or anything. So they're gonna ask their mom for one. And she's going to buy it, and then he's going to boot it up and be like, oh, I got to like actually do stuff to make games work? What the fuck?
He's also probably going to think it's like an iPad where he's just like YouTube and Facebook, or not Facebook for a little kid, but like fucking Roblox,
Yeah, some shit like that.
And it doesn't do, it can do that, but it's not going to do that natively.
You need to do like some configuration. What I want to see, what I would want to see for adoption in that sense is, like you were talking about, really strict, narrow the constraints for
verified.
Yeah. Because I think, isn't there like a thing where you can just, I think it's off by default, but you can just turn on like verified only.
You can filter by game type.
Yeah, like if I want to look at verified only, it doesn't matter to me or you, but like for the average person, I feel like I think it should probably just be on by default. Just like, show me deck verified games.
Yeah, and it does try to. And I almost feel, it's funny that you brought that up. I almost feel like the Steam Deck got smarter in a way. Because when you first go to the store page, that's the first thing it puts. It says, great on deck. And it gives you only verified games. It's not filtered. Maybe, yeah. It's just a column on the different tabs. And as I've started to use the Steam Deck, and like I always click right off that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll figure it out. And I go and like look a specific game up. Now if I go to the store, it just takes me to the general Steam homepage. Like it knows. It's like, all right, fuck it.
Or maybe in the setups, like the setup screens, they should have like a, what's your experience with Linux?
Yeah, experience with Linux and also Steam. Like
Linux
just Steam
and Steam. It should just be like none, a little, some, or a lot.
Yeah, well, I feel like two. Like one that says like experience with Steam client and then Linux. And if you go like, oh, I'm really good with Steam, but I'm very limited on Linux, then it will give you less desktop shit and it will give you more Steam shit. Like, hey, here's Steam OS, here's big picture mode, here's all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then if you're like, oh, neither, then it's like straight up like Quest 2 level of like, here's the fucking store. It's everything like, will work fine.
This is the store. You can purchase video games on here so long as you have a credit card or other payment method linked.
Once purchased, you can then download using a valid internet connection. Once downloaded, there will be a green button. It says play. And you guessed it. This will play the game.
Launch the game.
No, you can't say launch. It will play the game.
This will play the game. This will make the game show up
This
your
will present
screen.
you with a picture. Please wait. Once the game has loaded, you may play the game. It's just like a fucking little robot. It's like GLaDOS who says that, but like in a much nicer tone.
A little robot comes in the box. He's just a little fella. He's like yay tall.
It's like the first steps of the Quest, or I don't even know if Quest does it, but the Rift where it does the first steps. I don't remember. And it pops you into like a fucking trailer, and it's like a little robot who's like, please click the right trigger.
If I remember right, on my Vive, when I got that, the Steam VR introduction is like that. It's like they have like, they have fucking, what's his name from
Bidsley?
Wheatley, that's his name.
Bidsley.
From fucking Portal 2, like guide you through a little.
And you have to like throw them and shit. Yeah, it does like weird stuff.
And it's like, oh, this is an intro. But it made sense at the time because
VR as a whole.
It was the first device of its type. Yeah. Obviously, the original Oculus Rift dev kit was out, but the original Rift didn't come out until after the Vive.
Yeah.
The Vive was the first type, and even when the original Rift came out, it wasn't the same spec as a Vive.
Yeah.
The original Vive was the first of its type, and I remember having people over and showing them that, and they would just be dumbfounded.
Yeah.
With it. It's such a fucking magical experience the first time.
I wish I could like harken back to that time, because nothing frustrates me more I would consider myself a VR
connoisseur.
I was gonna say connoisseur.
Sommelier.
I'm thinking I don't want to say VR master, but I have hundreds of hours in VR as a whole. And I'm very good at being aware of my surroundings and things, and nothing frustrates me more. And I have to just kind of reel it back and remember where it comes from. Of like, if I show someone a VR headset and they're like really close to walls, or like they can't fucking throw a ball in VR properly, I'm like, dude, just pick it up and throw it. But it is like a disconnect for the beginning phases.
For me, when I first started playing VR, it was like just a natural extension of my body. It was like, oh, I just do this like I do this in real life. But there's like, I guess I kind of understood how the technology worked. And if it's like...
True. Maybe that's why,
when people are like, oh, this is a video game, so I have to like think in terms of video game. And I can't like do this like I would do it normally.
Or when people run in real life? Yeah. Like those videos where they run into a TV, I'm just like...
How stupid can you be?
Maybe it's a good point you brought up. Maybe it is because I am very experienced with video games, obviously, and I know how the hardware works to a beginner's extent.
I had seen the hardware in action before I bought it.
Yeah, where I understand that it's a screen in my face. I'm not in the game. Yeah. It might feel like it, but like I know that I can't just book it to that corner. Yeah. But like those videos piss me off. Like my sister-in-law did that the first time she used my PSVR. She was playing it, and the game scared her, and instead of taking the headset off, she started running with it. She was in a chair and she started fucking yeeting herself back.
Hey, it makes sense. It's a natural reaction in that sense. And I'm just I can understand a reaction like that, because that's what you would do. That's where the disconnect is. I think that's the exact wording you used. That's where the disconnect is. It's like, oh, naturally, what I would want to do in this situation where I'm presented with this is to get the fuck out of here as soon as possible.
Not hold a thumbstick down.
But... I think I had more of a consciousness of like, I just paid $800 or like $900 fucking dollars.
When it's yours, yeah.
And I know I'm attached to a wire, so if I book it,
I think the Quest is the worst example of it, because at least with the Rift, like I would always feel the wire on my back, but like with the Quest,
has no space of like,
yeah,
you're not attached to anything, so it doesn't go off as bad.
Yeah,
unless you hit a wall or something.
If you like step back a couple feet, like with my Rift, if I had my cable behind me and I started to walk backwards, I'd be like, oh, I'm tripping on the cable, you know? But with the Quest, like, I've literally put it in pass-through mode and walked around the house with it before.
But I've always been very mindful of the bounding box that you get.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm always paying attention to where that is, and obviously when you get close to it, they pop up like a fence.
Yeah.
It's like, hey... dumbass.
I do have to say that there was a feature they added to the Quest 2 that I thought I was going to love, and I hated it. It was object detection and glanceable boundary. So glanceable boundary was supposed to be, if you look down, your entire perimeter will appear to show you where you are. And then object detection was like, if Oscar walks in front of me, it'll show him. Like, it'll actually project him.
That fucking cat has a death wish, bro.
And he does. And it works, but the problem is it was too sensitive. So as soon as, like, from the distance of here to that table, it was fucking showing me the whole table. So unless you had a huge space, like literally this whole room empty maybe, then you could actually move around slightly without it actually showing you every object in your perimeter.
Yeah.
So that sucked. And then glanceable boundary was always a problem because I thought it was going to be like, hey, I look all the way down and then I look up and I can see the boundary. Yeah. But it's like if you look even slightly down like this, it'll pop up the boundary. So like, how many games do you have to look down? I would play Onward. I have to fucking reload. I go and pull up. and I see my boundary and I'm like, oh, this
that's
is
kind of fucking annoying.
So.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Every time I've played VR at your apartment, which is not many times, but all 2 of those times, Oscar, his fucking big fat-ass orange cat, has walked right under my feet.
He just lays on against your feet. He's like,
my cat, he is stupid as shit, but he's more, if I would play VR out there, he's more confused than anything. He's like, because he would sit there. I'd played a few times, and he would just sit there like this. He would get real low, and he would just look at me. And I'd take off the headset. I would look back at him, and he would just be looking at me, judging. Yeah. Like he was just. He doesn't. I don't know. He's not. I think it's because your cat's just affectionate. Yeah. My cat's just kind of like he's. Not malicious. He's just stupid and hurts people a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but like you know what I mean.
No, but he's just more like a normal cat.
He's
like
more
most
playful.
Cats are usually like very smacky and like
he'll swing his hands
arrogant
around and a lot of times he'll get excited and claws come out.
Yeah. No, with Oscar, I don't know what it is. I honestly think part of it is that he doesn't realize that I can't fucking see. Like I always thought like Chun seems to be like, oh, what the fuck's going on over there?
He's more intrigued.
Oscar just thinks I'm just standing there. Like if I'm just sitting there with the headset, he just thinks I'm standing, posted up. So he's like, "Oh, let me get his attention," but he doesn't realize that I'm completely blinded to my fucking surroundings.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have the headset on and I'll be like, "What the fuck's he doing?" And I try to peek through the little like nose gap, and he's looking up at me. I'm like, "You fucking moron."
Chunk, I think, has more of an awareness of feet because I feel like he's been stepped on at least once.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Oscar's been stepped on so many fucking times, and he's still just like, "Yo, what's up, dog?"
And I don't know if it was a bad situation because, like, maybe before I got him, because his tail, the very end of it, end of his tail is, like, kind of, like, cocked, like, curved. Really? So I don't know if, like, something bad happened where, like, he got
broke
caught
cartilage or whatever.
They, stepped on his tail. And, of course that happens with cats. They
fucking put their tail everywhere.
They put themselves under your feet sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes it's just unavoidable. And
fucking cats.
So I don't know if it was something like that. So now he's hyper aware of like where feet are.
Yeah.
Where like he won't walk under my feet, but he'll walk right in front of my feet on occasion, going the same direction I am.
Yeah.
And he goes slow because he's got short, stubby little legs.
He does seem aware of feet now that you mention it. Like, I feel like every time I walk towards him, instead of looking up at me, he looks right at my legs.
He's making sure that you're not going to step on him.
And then if I get too close, he immediately butts it.
I make it a point, if I'm coming into the house and it's dark, I make it a point to, like, kind of illuminate the floor just so I don't step on him.
Yeah.
But he's never there. So,
You're like shining the light around. He's like a fucking shadow. He's like,
it's like a little goblin crawling up the wall.
You just you look down. You're like, I don't see him. You slowly pan up, and then he's just in the fucking ceiling peeking out.
That shit like that happens with him. Where I was doing something. I forget what, and I might have been getting something from the fridge, or something like that, and I just felt something leathery and sharp touch my arm, and I was like, what the fuck? And I look over and he's just standing there. Just standing there. And his little paw is coming towards me. He hides on top of the fridge sometimes. So what'll happen is I'll go to open the door and I'll like look at the shelves and then I'll see something and I'll look up and there's a fucking fat ass cat up there.
That's fucking sick, dude. See, Oscar's different. He just sleeps in fucking bed with me. And then if I even wake up slightly, he's like, food? What's up, dog? Sounds like you're feeding me, right, bitch?
I forget. Did you get him one of those automatic feeders, or did I imagine that?
No, I had talked about it, but we switched him to wet food, and he stopped throwing up. So.
Oh, all right.
We switched him to wet food, and then we started to introduce dry food again, and he's chilling. So.
Yeah.
So what we do is in the morning he gets trying to remember Let's the one who's fucking feeding him. In the morning he gets like a small bit of dry food. At night he gets a can, and then once he's done with the can, he gets dry food to last him, and he usually eats it slowly throughout the night. Surprisingly.
Yeah. Chunk he just gets the dry crunchies.
Yeah, that's what Oscar's got for 12 years, and all of a sudden it's fucking he's too good for it.
Dry crunchies, and he eats them, and he's like, man, this is fucking great. I wonder what I'm getting tomorrow. And it's the same shit. And he goes, this is fucking awesome, dude. I love this. He loves them.
Every morning he's like, dude, it's fucking Dry Crunch Tuesday.
It's fucking crunchy time. And he runs up and he eats the dumb little bowl of just matter that I put in front of him.
He's like, man, Chris, I love Fridays. You're like, why? He's like, cause it's fucking Food Fridays. You're like,
you get the same exact food every day. I've been giving you the same exact food
for
every
like
day
4 years, dude.
Since I've gotten you, and it's you've just been down with it every time.
Dude, he's DTF that food. Dude. He's down to fucking.
He's down with it, man. He's like, oh no, this is some serious gourmet shit right here.
Yeah.
Or the few times he's had wet food was after he got his surgery, because it was like sensitive stomach food. Because, he can't have as many crunchies going through him because he had his intestine was just opened up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that fucking cat has cost me a lot of money.
I know, dude. He has, yeah. I mean, arguably, Oscar's 3 times the age, and I've probably spent less on food over the years than you have on surgery.
Yeah. I've kept an eye on him now because I'm like, I'm going to make sure.
I really can't pay $4,000 more.
I had to make sure he's insured now.
Oh.
So I had to make sure something doesn't go wrong. But, because if I see him acting strange, I'll okay, I'm taking note of this. And then 99 times out of 100 just goes away.
Yeah,
he hurt his paw the other day. Not the other day, some time ago. He hurt his paw. He was, limping. So I picked him up, and I'm, squeezing his paw and leg.
Chilling.
And, he's not purring. So,
nothing's broken.
It's not broken. So I'm just going to, if he's still like this tomorrow, I'll do something about it. And he was like, the next morning was fine.
Yeah. He probably just fell on it or something.
So I keep an eye on him now because if there's something off and I take note of it and it doesn't go away overnight, I'm going to just take him to the vet ER, the same place that did his surgery.
Yeah.
Because knowing him, he got back into something, ate some tape again.
And you're not eating.
And he needs imaging, an ultrasound.
Yeah.
To make sure that everything's, everything's all right.
Yeah.
Because the vet, my normal vet, doesn't have that. Can't image him. That was the issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was an issue because we had taken him there, and he wasn't eating or anything. And they were like, okay, he's got a stomach thing, I think. And just, give him this medicine. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah,
and
I remember that. Yeah.
And then he wasn't eating anything.
So you took him in.
I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I've taken him here twice now, and it's cost me $500 just here. What do I do? They go, okay, take him for an ultrasound. Should have just done that to fucking begin with.
Yeah. And it ended up being, that was the tape, right? The blue tape?
Yeah, he ate some blue. He had some painter's tape.
It's not his fault he wanted some fucking blueberry, dude. He was just
oh,
damn,
shit,
bro.
Blue?
Actually, can cats even see blue? I know dogs are blue and gray, they say.
I don't know.
I don't know about cats.
Cats are just...
Dude, to him, it was red. He was just like, oh, yeah.
There's a fruit roll-up. There's a fruit by the foot. He was trying to eat that.
He's like, I just want to relive my childhood, man.
That fucking cat is a garbage disposal.
He's probably just a goat at heart. He's probably meant to be a goat.
There's certain things that he'll stick his nose up at. What is this? What are you offering me here? But most of the time, if I put a piece of something edible in front of him, he'll try to eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, Oscar is the opposite. He gagged at pizza last night. But also, they say when a cat gads after sniffing something, they're not gagging. They have scent glands in their mouth. They're trying to, capture it, essentially, to determine if it's harmful.
But he won't go out of his way to steal shit off your plate, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Oscar doesn't do that. He doesn't eat shit, dude. He'll eat goldfish, popcorn.
He's done a couple of times. He's tried to get stuff from my dad a couple of times. But, not to a point
not like a dog level.
Yeah, not to a point where he's like...
You got some meat, man? Yo, Chris,
give me a piece of that.
Chris, give me your meat, man. Give me your meat.
Yo, pass me a little meat.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorite things about dogs. Licking my face and then trying to steal my food. I'm just like, bro, I fucking feed you. Like, I feed you.
I literally
Like,
give
fuck
you
off.
sustenance.
Like, I'm trying
this is my sustenance.
Dude, it's like your dog...
You don't see me fiending over your food.
I was just say your dog's like, bro, damn, give me some of that shit, bro. But then you feed it and you're just like, all right, bye. Like, I'm just going to start... If I ever get a dog,
I'm just going to look at him.
I'm just going to stare at him and then I'm just going to, like, slowly reach for the food.
I'm going to grab a handful of his kibbles and start munching on them.
Assert my dominance. But, yeah. Man, this was a fucking interesting episode. I feel like we went all over the place. Started with 40/80s and ended off on eating dog kibble.
It's because we didn't have notes.
Yeah, by the way, these were 2 fucking free-balling episodes. I mean, we had a little bit of notes for the first one.
Yeah.
Like 1 note. But
so, anyway, that's it. That's the end. That's it. That's the end of this one. It's over now.
So, stay tuned for next time where we'll have hopefully a little bit better studio. Not in terms of the background, but just our table and things like that. We'll see. I don't know if it'll be quite ready for next time, but maybe. And, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, and Pocket Cast, all linked below. There's also the RSS feed. You can import that wherever you want. You can also find a video version of this on YouTube, and it's also on Spotify, so you can switch between the audio and video, I believe, seamlessly. Haven't actually really used it myself. I just know it works. So, contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats. And we are back on Instagram after a slight hiatus. And we are on TikTok. Check us out there for shorts. And also, if it isn't already published, a set reveal when it's fully complete to 100%. So, that was like the calmest outro I've done in like 30 episodes.